Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I'm going to be going over some videos, just cursory looking at the latest news for Mpox. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and if you could, please donate. You can donate through Stripe, PayPal, or Buy Me a Coffee. You can also donate by being a paid member. That way you're supporting the free videos that I put out there. I have thousands of free videos out there. So you can be a paid member on Patreon. The link is in the description of this video. So please go and help support the community here. If you can, also tell your social media to follow me. Follow my work. You can follow me on 4 channels on YouTube. I have Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. You can follow me on X, Twitter, formerly known as Twitter, and GETTR. You can also follow me on Facebook. Another way to support my work is to go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and follow the protocols that I tell you to follow to improve your immune system, slow down the aging process, improve vitality, and learn about how the human body works and how to improve it. So with that said, let's begin with the videos here.
Before her dad let you sit in his chair.
Good news from the World Health Organization on the outbreak of the Mpox virus. The WHO saying Mpox is not the new COVID, even though it is considered to be a global emergency. So what exactly does that mean? CTV's Heather Wright is tracking that story for us. And Heather, bring us the details here. What are you hearing?
Well, Todd, first of all, this is not a new virus. A lot is known about Mpox, and also it does not spread as quickly as COVID-19. But there is not a lot known about this new strain.
Let's get to the facts here. Pox viruses, there's a lot we don't know about pox viruses. We know actually more about beta coronaviruses than we do about pox viruses. The reason being, they code for about 191 proteins. The genome is much larger. Some of the genomes for pox are over 100,000, close to 200,000 pairs. All right, bases. All right, so please, pay attention here. It's really important. Pox viruses are complex. They're much larger, and there's little known about. All right, so, but they're not novel. They're they've been floating around for a while, but they're complex. They have a lot of proteins, and we fully don't really understand. Now, I explained a little bit on how it works. It shuts down the innate immune system, and it shuts down the adaptive immune system. It shuts down the activation of CD4 positives and CD8 positive cells when they're cognated to the actual infected cell. All right. It also shuts down the innate immune system by shutting down intercellular interferon, shutting down the PKR pathway. So it's shutting down the apoptosis pathway. It's inhibiting the RIG pathway. It's inhibiting the OAS pathway, the MDA pathway, MDA5 pathway. So there's lots of things that are happening that this thing's doing, and that's what we know. There's lots of things that we probably don't know about the Mpox and how this thing's working. So what I'm noticing with the media out there is that they're not giving you the full story. They give you a sugar-coated version of it, maybe because of their educational background, maybe because of time for the spot for their particular segment. They're not giving you a little bit more granular level that I'm giving
you. Detected outside of Africa. Since Mpox was declared a global health emergency last week, the new variant has been detected outside of Africa, with 1 case reported in Sweden. But today, the World Health Organization stressed this is not a repeat of early 2020.
Mpox is not the new COVID.
Mpox is a viral infection that causes lesions and flu-like symptoms. It's usually mild, but can result in death. The virus has been circulating in Africa for decades, with a new, more transmissible version emerging this year. While Mpox cases in Canada are on the rise, the new variant has not been reported here yet.
I don't want to be pessimistic, but international travel and globalization are what they are.
Dr. Jason Kindrachuk is an infectious disease researcher and says if the new variant of Mpox arrives in Canada, the big question will be how quickly it can be contained.
We will probably identify additional cases in multiple global
This
regions.
is the reason why in developed nations, people need to pay attention here. In developed nations, we do not have cross-reactivity with our immune system to Mpox. Period. Some people have been given vaccines back when they, back in, the 50s or the 60s. But most people in the United States do not have an active immune system to Mpox. All right. Or even to smallpox. Because the vaccine titer level has waned. And my generation, the X generation, weren't vaccinated for it, that were born in the United States. Now, in other countries, they for developed nations, they were vaccinating all the way up to about 1975. So if someone that is younger than, let's say, Gen X, and they have been vaccinated for smallpox, then what that would mean is that they're coming from a developing nation. So there is a little bit of a vaccine program going on worldwide for inoculation, right, for these pox viruses. But that is not what's happening in the developed nation. And that's why I said that an outbreak, they can't even contain it in a developing nation like Congo. If it gets to a developed nation, yes, the developed nation has better health care, but and sanitation, but its immune system, we haven't been exposed to this either through an inoculation or through some sort of natural exposure for decades, right? So this is a big problem if there's an outbreak that takes hold. If it's a big if. So we're at a crossroad. We don't know what will happen. Hopefully it doesn't, but there's enough developed nations that may have potential exposure that eventually it'll take hold. So when it does outbreak, the question is how fast can it be contained? Now it's probably going to be contained. The ability to contain it is much easier than, let's say, containing a respiratory infection, but it's still going to be problematic. And I think that it's being downplayed because they're afraid to perturb the economy. And so you're going to start hearing in the news, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, it's not that bad. And then all of a sudden, big if, but if an outbreak does take hold in a developed nation, all hell's going to break loose. So that's why I keep on saying you need to prepare. Be prepared. All right. Make sure you boost up your immune system and you get, you just in case things happen, that you have the supplies and you don't have to worry about panic buying and all that. All right. That's a big lesson learned from the crisis that we went through in 2020. So just be cautious. Don't, be super alarmed, but just be prepared. All right. And follow my advice. Structural nanosilver liquids. Structural nanosilver liquids. Take a teaspoon of it a day. It will help to neutralize pathogens in your mouth. It will help to maintain a mucosal barrier. Swish it in your mouth for 20 seconds. I have a max 35, a max 14, and a structural nanosilver solution that's a 30 ppm. All right. Take a teaspoon of it a day, every day. If you're not feeling well, Take a tablespoon or two a day. In addition, take the structural nano silver gels. I have 2 types, and you put that on your hand. The structural nano silver gels in your hands, on your arms, on your body, and you're creating a barrier. But it also neutralizes pathogens because of the structural nano silver. You can put it around your mouth and around your nose, on your face, around your eyes, around your ears. Lightly coat your nostrils, and it stays active for 5 hours. Way better than Perel. You can't do that with Perel. Perel is toxic to your skin, all right, because it'll crack and it will create an entry point. That's what Perel does. It'll neutralize pathogens, right? But it will crack your skin because it's alcohol based. A structural nanosilver gel actually heals your skin and protects it and neutralizes pathogens. That's why I've been telling you, make sure that you have lots of structural nanosilver gel in your house, because you're going to need to apply this on your hands to neutralize pathogens, create a barrier on your skin, and also it's a skincare. So it's actually going to improve your skin. It helps to heal wounds, cuts, abrasions, minor burns. And it's a skincare where, it'll clear your skin and tighten your skin. So it's a win-win. So get a few of those tubes of structural nanosilver gel that I have in my store.
So I think the big piece is going to be whether or not we see any ongoing human-to-human transmission within the community.
In Canada, Mpox is primarily transmitted between men who have sex with men and sex workers, with members of that group eligible for vaccination. In Africa, children are being disproportionately impacted.
That's only if it's clade 2B. The homosexual community, it's more prevalent there. The question is, why is that? Most likely the fusion protein is not as robust for clade 2B. But the problem that we're having right now in the Congo, and I heard that it's in Pakistan now and Sweden, potentially even the UK. That's clade 1B. It's a different ball. That's a different game. Now, how did it mutate? Who knows? Was there a nefarious activity going on? Maybe. Was it naturally emergent? Maybe. Who knows? It's suspicious that it's all happening at this moment in time, with general elections and a lot of turmoil in the world. Maybe there's some metaphysical thing happening here. Who knows? But there's a potential for an outbreak that, if it does happen, it's a major problem. All right. There's always a potential that something could happen. But this is, you see the emergent behavior taking place in Congo. And you're seeing these small case points around the world just starting. Now, maybe it stops. And if that is, great. But if it doesn't, it's a problem. It's a problem. So they're not, this CTV, I guess it's Canadian. They're not even being honest. And this thing was published 19 hours ago.
With officials saying 10 million vaccines are needed to meet demand. The company that manufactures the vaccine says it will decide this week whether to ramp up production.
Every week we don't switch over, we lose some of that capacity.
So what they're gonna do is they're gonna wait to see if they get some funding from WHO or from the government. All right, this is from Cleveland 1 hour ago. I'm recording this on August 21st.
Gives you the power of AI to build the website you need with full business functionality.
Well, Mpox is on the rise again.
The World Health Director General declared the current Mpox outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. Doctors in Cleveland say cases locally are also starting to rise.
News 5's Bryn Caswell joins us live from outside university hospitals this morning. Bryn, what have you learned?
As of August 15th in the state of Ohio, there are currently 459 cases of Mpox. Now, Humantohuman County is leading those numbers with 174 of those cases. And while experts say this outbreak shouldn't cause any COVID-19 like lockdowns, they are asking people to ramp up testing, and vaccinations need to continue for those communities that are most at risk. Mpox is a highly contagious viral disease that can cause flu-like symptoms and painful skin lesions. It often spreads through close physical contact. A new strain of Mpox virus has been surging in Africa over the past couple months, leading the World Health Organization to declare an international health emergency, which is its highest alarm
I want to
level.
repeat
This is the second
This
time
is
in
getting
recent
scary.
years the World
This
Health
is getting
Organization.
scary.
August 15th in the state of Ohio, there are currently 459 cases of Mpox. Now, Humantohuman County is leading those numbers with 174 of those cases. And while experts say this outbreak shouldn't cause any COVID-19 like lockdowns, they are asking people to ramp up testing, and vaccinations need to continue for those communities.
I'm playing this with no preparation. Okay, so I just give you my thoughts as they come. All right. So this is 1 hour ago, Cleveland. All right. This is published August 21st, 2024. I'm recording on August 21st. So the same. So this is an hour. Right. Local news in Cleveland. Now, there's going to be two types of outbreaks that you might see in the United States: the clade 2B and the clade 1B. So they have to be very specific because they are totally different dynamics. If it's the clade 2B, I'm not worried because that died out really quickly. That was what happened in 2022. If it's the clade 1B, I'm concerned. So let's replay and see if she's specific at what the hell is going on in Ohio.
Again.
The World Health Director General declared the current Mpox outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. Doctors in Cleveland say cases locally are also starting to rise.
News 5's Bryn Caswell joins us live from outside university hospitals this morning. Bryn, what have you learned?
As of August 15th in the state of Ohio, there are currently 459 cases of Mpox. Now, Humantohuman County is leading those numbers with 174 of those cases. And while experts say this outbreak shouldn't cause any COVID-19 like lockdowns, they are asking people to ramp up testing, and vaccinations need to continue for those communities that are most at risk. Mpox is a highly contagious virus.
So most likely it's the M2B, the Mpox clade 2B cases. She's not specific. Now, if it's clade 1B, this is extremely concerning. All right. I'm just learning this as I'm recording. All right. So you can kind of like feel the train of thought here. You really need to pay attention. And you have to follow what I'm doing. If you don't pay attention to me, it's your own damn fault. You need to boost up your immune system. And how you do that is there's a 3-pillar process. You have to neutralize pathogens with the structural nanosilver liquids and gels. You need to be taking the gel every day and applying it, especially in an area that has an outbreak. All right. If you live in a region where there's an outbreak, use the structural nanosilver gels every day. You want to make sure that you don't have that chronic inflammation because that weakens your immune system. So you want to take the turmeric and the ashwagandha. Right? By taking the turmeric and ashwagandha, you're going to control your blood glucose levels, and you reduce inflammation vascularly. And turmeric is a very strong antioxidant, but also it brings down inflammation, so it helps the immune system. They're synergistic. So by doing this, you're going to bring down inflammation. Right? Then take the olive leaf extract. That also brings down inflammation. All right. And it also brings down the LDL and HDL levels, so it's good for your cardiovascular system too. So the olive leaf extract is really important. All right, now you want to soak up those free radicals with a strong antioxidant like C60. All right, it's a very potent antioxidant. And I have this in a 2 ounce, a 4 ounce, and an 8 ounce configuration. Now I offer it in higher ounce configurations, so it's a little cheaper for you per ounce. Right, so it's discounted, but it's up to you if you want to buy the 2 ounce, the 4 ounce, or the 8 ounce configuration. But I have it in MCT coconut oil. I have it in extra virgin olive oil and in avocado oil. Now all of them have the buckyball, the C60 molecule. C60 is a carbon molecule that's 60 carbons. It looks like a soccer ball. All right, and it is soluble in lipid, so that's why it's in an oil. You take it underneath your tongue. If a full drop or a teaspoon, just take it with the teaspoon and swallow it. Take it every day. It's really important to take every day. And what that'll do is it'll soak up those free radicals. You want to take it on an empty stomach for better absorption. Take it every day, and you're going to see this compound benefit where your cells are healthier, your tissues are healthier, and you're slowing down the aging process. And you're going to boost up that mitochondria, and that mitochondria's ATP creation is going to go up, and that's going to help with your immune system. All right, so please go to the store and get the C60 in the coconut, the avocado, or the extra virgin olive oil. All right, it's really important to take every day. That's a major pillar. All right, now a lot of people's guts have inflammation, and by having inflammation in the gut, it creates a disturbance with the barrier, this mucosal barrier. We have a gut biome and a mucus layer, and inside that mucus layer is actually a type of antibody, the IgA antibodies. That will help to create a healthy barrier for your intestinal lining. If you have inflammation and a poor gut biome, what will happen is that mucosal layer gets thin, and there's a disruption in the inner lining of your gut, your colon, and your small intestine. When that happens, pathogens can get in to your bloodstream through that leaky gut, or also get into your lymphatic system and cause havoc. So it's really important to take a good gut biome, to take a good probiotic so you can have a good gut biome. That way you're maintaining a good mucosal layer, right? This is really important, right? A lot of people don't understand this process, but a good gut biome will reduce chronic inflammatory areas of your GI tract. That reduces the chances of contracting pathogens. So please go to the store and get a good probiotic. Right, I have it in a powdered form or in a soft gel form. So that way you're reducing the inflammation of your gut. Now, obviously, boosting up your immune system with vitamin C, really important, especially with the cold season coming. I think that the cold season, which starts in September in the United States, is going to be problematic. All right, so you got to pay attention to me on this, right? It's not just going to be Mpox. It's going to be other things that are popping up. People's immune systems are down because of the crisis that we went through in 2020. So it's really important to pay attention and just follow my lead on this. If you're not feeling well, take a double dose of vitamin C. Make sure you drink it with water, filtered water. Now, vitamin D3 is really important because it helps to have cells go into apoptosis if they've been infected. It also helps to absorb calcium, and it's a gene expression cofactor, which allows for cellular processes to perform. So it's really important to take vitamin D3. I take 2 tablets a day. I take 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. Right? It's really important to do to help improve that immune system. But I suspect that most of the cases that are in Ohio are the clade 2B. Without further information here, I suspect that it's clade 2B with most of those cases and not clade 1B. But if it's clade 1B, we got a serious problem in Ohio. I don't think that's the case at this moment, but you just got to be vigilant. This is the point I'm making. If the outbreak takes hold in a developed country, it's a problem because most people in the society do not have cross-reactive antibodies. It's that simple.
Disease that can cause flu-like symptoms and painful skin lesions. It often spreads through close physical contact. A new strain of Mpox virus has been surging in Africa over the past couple months, leading the World Health Organization to declare an international health emergency, which is its highest alarm level. This is the second time in recent years the World Health Organization declared this emergency for Mpox. The first was in 2022 when Mpox sickened nearly 32,000 people in the U.S., according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Dr. Amy Edwards with University Hospital says the 2022 vaccination campaign wasn't successful, which is why a resurgence of cases is happening locally.
It just emphasizes that this is a disease that we have to keep an eye on, because we still are seeing people infected with it. We're still seeing people die with it. That potential always exists. And so we just have to.
People's immune systems have been trashed because of over-inoculation and the side effects of bad water, bad diet, processed foods, and the pathogen in 2020. All right. So part of the problem here is that we have an immune system that's weakened. And because this virus also helps to shut down the activation of a CD4 positive cells, it adds to the problem. All right. This is part of the reason why kids are more susceptible to this, because kids are in a new environment and they're supposed to build up antibodies and build up memory for their adulthood. So they really need a robust immune system. CD4s are really important, right? Well, if your CD4s are subpar, they're not activating right, that's as if you have an immune deficiency. This is what I've been saying for 4 years, AIDS-like syndrome. And so you have opportunistic infections that take hold. And then you may have nefarious actors that are in play that are taking advantage of a weakened immune system. I'll tell you, these doctors are not paying attention. They're not paying attention.
And especially now with vaccines and treatments available, you can't prevent or treat a disease if you're not diagnosing it.
According to the Ohio Department of Health, 5 people in the state have died from Mpox. Again, Mpox spreads when someone who has the virus or open lesions comes in close physical contact with another person. If you think you've contracted Mpox, doctors recommend going to the hospital and calling your primary care physician. From there, treatment will be given and quarantining will be recommended. Again, there is an Mpox vaccine available for people who are most at risk, like those who are immunocompromised, HIV positive, or have cancer. Now, on top of this international emergency, COVID-19 cases locally are on the rise again. Governor Mike DeWine recently testing positive for COVID-19 early Tuesday morning.
So there's going to be an increase in influenza, an increase in COVID, an increase in Mpox, and potentially also, other respiratory pathogens like RSV. We may even see another surge of there are a lot of other pathogens that could arise that will cause infection on the body, either as skin lesions or respiratory. Microplasma.
tested positive as he's been governor. Now, currently, there's not a vaccine for this current COVID-19 strand that is circulating around, but that vaccine for the new variant is currently in production and should be released hopefully by the fall. And Tiffany, Mike, I did ask experts if we are currently in a...
Don't trash your immune system. You're going to make the problem worse.
pandemic with rise of Mpox cases as well as COVID-19 cases, and they tell me we are not. So that's some good news this morning.
Yeah, but of course, with kids heading back to school, those COVID cases are expected to go up since we've been in a summer surge. Thanks for bringing us that, friend. Appreciate it.
Lovely. Lovely. All right. Here's what viruses to watch out for. All right, let's listen here. Before we do that, I want to do a little.
Hello and welcome to the AMA update video and podcast.
I want to please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the high quality deodorants that I have. I have it in citrus, and I also have it in peppermint, lavender, tea tree. This is made from essential oils from the Himalayas. It has no aluminum in it, it has no baking soda in it. It's all natural, very high quality. It also helps to detoxify the body, so it's a dual purpose. It's for males and females, so go to the store and get a couple bars for your household. It's really important because by being able to detoxify your body and use stuff that's all natural, you're going to slowly notice that your body is moving into a better homeostasis with its endocrine system. Our endocrine system and our immune system has been disrupted because of our environment. All right. And we need to take charge and be proactive. So please go to my store and get these all natural deodorants that I have. I also have an all natural skincare product, the Even Better Bar. You put it on your skin every day. You'll notice that your skin's softer, smoother. It has a little bit of a glow to it. It also eliminates pain from a bug bite or muscle pain. And you can put it on a operation or minor burn, and it will slow down the it'll speed up, I should say. It'll speed up the healing process by about a third of the time. So by putting it on the cut in the minor burn or the abrasion, it will speed up the healing process. So please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the Even Better Bar. Okay, it's made from essential oils from the Himalayas, extremely high quality. Right now, it's important to get a multivitamin. These multivitamins, they're easy to digest. You should be taking this every day. You need multivitamins because they're cofactors for enzymes, for proper cellular processes. All right. So it's really important to take a multivitamin every day. So please go to the store and get my multivitamin. It's the-studio-reykjavik.com. Omega-3, really important. Why? It'll bring down the LDL and increase your HDL levels. By doing that, you're reducing that inflammatory response in your vascular system. What's happening in your vascular system is tied to your immune system. So you got to pay attention in the areas, all right? So please go to the store and get the omega-3. It'll help to improve your lipid profile, improve cardiovascular health, but it'll also make sure that those red blood cells don't stick as much, because in the post-2020 crisis, we have a clotting problem. So take the omega-3, very important. Clarity factor. There's a lot of people that are stressed out and they're not eating properly, they're not drinking filtered water, and they have a lot of brain fog. Please go to the store and take the clarity factor. It will eliminate that brain fog. It'll allow you to concentrate on your work or school. It'll keep those neurons firing. You want to maintain that positive neural plasticity, maintain that memory, keep those neurons healthy. Please go to the store and get the clarity factor. This is synergistic with C60. Why? C60 improves your mitochondria. You need a lot of mitochondria in your neurons to produce neurotransmitters and to have the ATP to be able to fire those neurotransmitters. When you get older, your mitochondria and your cells start to die. They start to weaken. They start to become less functional. You want to keep them and boost them up so you have a lot of ATP. And that way, you don't age as fast. But not just that, you're maintaining your neurons, you're maintaining your neural health and your cognitive function. Really important. So a lot of the stuff that I'm telling you, you stack it right, you're going to get these gigantic benefits. This is knowledge that was gained through, you know, the kind of like the subculture of the anti-agers and the longevity gurus. All right, this is stuff that I've been doing for years. I started taking high dose antioxidants when I was 16 years old. All right, and you know, improving this health protocol all the way into my early 50s. All right, it works. And there's new stuff that comes on the market that when you add it in a stack, it does even better. We know how to stack now and reduce cardiovascular disease. We know how to stack now and reduce plaque. We know how to stack supplements and reverse osteoarthritis. We know how to stack and improve neural function. We know how to stack this stuff and improve your immune system. So if you listen to me, you're going to improve your body. You're going to improve your immune system. And I'm pretty sure that most of the people that you listen to that are, quote, an expert on COVID, right, aren't telling you on how to mitigate the problems. Good night formula, really important. Why? You need proper sleep. You need 3 cycles of REM sleep and deep sleep to be well rested, to detoxify your central nervous system, and to consolidate memory. Chronic sleep deprivation weakens the immune system and can lead to dementia. Resveratrol, synergistic with C60, helps to get rid of senescent cells. It also helps to boost up the mitochondria. This is an antioxidant. It's synergistic with C60. So please go to the store and get the C60. It's also synergistic with CoQ10, ubiquinol, and NAD+. I'll go over that in a little while here. So let's start with the AMA, the wonderful AMA.
Today we have our weekly look at the headlines with the AMA's Vice President of Science, Medicine, and Public Health, Andrea Garcia. I'm Todd Unger, AMA's Chief Experience Officer. Welcome back, Andrea.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, we've talked for the past few weeks about Mpox, and it looks like there's an update there. Andrea, what do we need to know?
Well, Todd, last time we talked, WHO officials had planned on convening a committee of experts to determine if the recent Mpox activity we've seen in Africa warrants declaring a public health emergency of international concern under international health regulations. And at that meeting, the committee did decide that it was worthy of a public health emergency declaration. And then last Wednesday, the agency issued this alert for Mpox, and it's the second time we've seen this level of alert for Mpox in 2 years. As a reminder, this is the WHO's highest level of alert. It can help accelerate research, funding, and also international public health measures to help contain the disease.
Now, I guess the big news here is this is not the same strain of virus that fueled the alert 2 years ago. And I think from what we're talking about, it might be more dangerous. Can you give us the details on that?
Yeah, so as a reminder with Mpox, there are 2 distinct viral clades, clade 1 and clade 2. A strain of clade 2, known as clade 2B, was responsible for the global spread of Mpox in 2022. That has been the only clade reported here in the US to date. Clade 2 is typically less serious. According to the CDC, more than 99.9% of people survive infections with this clade. It's still capable of causing severe illness, particularly in people with weakened immune systems. So prevention, including vaccination, is important. Clade 1, however, can cause more severe illness and death. Some previous outbreaks have killed up to 10% of people who've gotten sick, although more recent clade 1 outbreaks have had lower fatality rates. The strain spreading in DRC and neighboring countries is clade 1b. Clade 1b seems to be more transmissible through routine close contact, including sexual contact.
All right, so let's just talk a little bit about what this means to the U.S. at this point.
Yeah, in the U.S., Mpox cases have declined considerably since that peak in 2022. The average daily cases actually fell to 0 in the week ending August 1st. And the CDC has confirmed as recently as last Friday that we have no cases of clade 1 Mpox here. However, we learned late last week that clade 1 has been spread beyond Africa. There's a
Okay, so if the data that she's saying is correct, which was recorded 6 hours ago or posted 6 hours ago, then that would mean that the cases that are in Ohio are all clade 2B. So there's some discrepancy. What the hell is going on in Ohio? Just that was posted an hour ago as of this recording on August 21st. So I'll, as I'm playing this, I'll research it a little more here.
That's what's reported in Sweden. The European Center for Disease Prevention and Control warned that more imported clade 1 infections are highly likely, and they've urged countries to take preparedness steps. Infectious disease experts have been seeing that it's really only a matter of time before the disease spreads beyond Africa. So this is not completely unexpected. However, it increases the chances that at some point we'll see cases here in the US.
So Andrea, with a view to that kind of future, are we prepared?
Well, we heard the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services say last week that we are well prepared to detect and manage clade 1 cases that might arise. And we know health officials are monitoring for Mpox through clinical testing and wastewater surveillance. And there's also some reason to believe that we'd see a lower morbidity and mortality rate than in the DRC, and I think that's in part because the Jynneos vaccine
something's not right. Something is not right. All right, and the people that are listening, you need to research it a little bit. On August 21st, 2024, Cleveland is saying that there is 459 cases of Mpox across Ohio. In one county, the Cuyahoga County has 174 cases. While experts said that this outbreak shouldn't cause our wonderful lockdowns, testing must be ramped up. All right, this is basically what that female said in the previous video. The problem that I have here is that, is it clade 1 or is it clade 2? Is it a B version or an A version? And if it's a B version, how did clade 2B ramp up so quickly when we were averaging almost 0 cases a week? So what the hell is going on in Ohio? If it's clade 2, if it's clade 1, that means that that whatever was going on in the Congo ended up hitting Ohio really quickly. So what is going on in Ohio? It's a big question mark. What is going on in Ohio? Now, is this just, fakery? I don't know. But something's not making sense here. Do we have Mpox cases on August 21st or not? especially in Ohio. Something's not right here. Something's not right.
And it's thought to be protective against both clades. So at least some of those at high risk would be protected through vaccination or even possibly previous infection. We shouldn't be complacent though. The CDC does recommend 2 doses of the vaccine for those who are 18 years of age and older with risk factors for Mpox, such as gay, bisexual.
Let's use some common sense here. How many people actually had an Mpox vaccine? A vaccine for Mpox during the outbreak in 2022? Very few in the United States. And it's only in a certain community, the homosexual community, or a community that was very high risk. All right. So maybe 20,000, maybe 50,000 total out of 330 million people. Prior infections, we didn't have that many Mpox infections in the United States. All right, maybe a few thousand, probably less than that. So they may have cross-reactivity from the prior infection, and the ones that have been given an inoculation would have some antibody protection. But the far majority of the population doesn't have any cross-reactivity. The far majority of the population wasn't infected with it. So if there's an outbreak of Mpox clade 1B, which may be happening in Ohio, we got a problem. What's going on in Ohio? Or is this just, a big reporting mistake by Ohio? Who knows? Something's not right. And it just so happens that this situation is in around those states that are super important for the election, the presidential general election. Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin. Those are all really important in-play states. And it just so happens that we have, I don't know, according to this, on August 15th, it's August 21st. Where was it in the news that this thing was, how many cases of Mpox do we have in the United States? And what clade is it? Something's not right. Something's weird. Is this manufactured? If it's real, then it means that it was planted, which means that there was a nefarious activity going
on. And other men who have sex with men. The CDC is also asking physicians to be alert for Mpox infections and those who recently spent time in the DRC and its neighboring countries. The agency has issued an advisory for people traveling to the DRC and its neighboring countries to practice enhanced precautions.
Well, we'll certainly continue to keep an eye on that. And if there's any question about the vaccine, please talk to your physician. We've also seen increases in another virus, none we have not talked about to date, that prompted the CDC to issue an advisory this past week. Andrea, tell us what this new virus is.
Yeah, what we're talking about here is parvovirus B19, which is better known as Spitz disease or slap cheek disease by some because of the face rash that it can cause. As you mentioned, it is currently on the rise, and that's
rare, and it's on the rise. Why? Because people's immune systems are trashed, and by having a weakened immune system in a society, then it allows for the infection, these opportunistic things to take hold and mutate. And so it gets worse. This is exactly what I said was going to happen in the aftershock of 2020 with AIDS-like syndrome. It's playing out right now as we speak.
True among children ages 5 to 9. The CDC issued its advisory last week after its European counterpart reported a high number of parvovirus cases in 14 countries. There was an article in the Washington Post that says the illness is typically mild in children and healthy adults and doesn't require significant treatment. But there are certain groups, including those who are immunocompromised or pregnant, who do face an increased risk.
Now, you mentioned the face rash as a possible symptom. Any other symptoms that folks need to watch out for?
Actually, there are a good portion of cases that go undetected because so many people infected with paravirus are asymptomatic. In fact, many of us have likely had it without even realizing
This is
it.
Here. So we are exposed to things we don't even realize we're exposed to, and our immune system is fighting it, and we go on off our day. If our immune system is just slightly lower, then we don't have that protection and it takes hold and it's more problematic. Now, depending on the mutation of the pathogen, depending on how severe your immune suppression is, depends on the manifestation of AIDS-like syndrome.
CDC estimates that about 50% of adults have detectable antibodies by age 20, and that increases to more than 70% by age 40. Those who do develop symptoms, the infection usually begins with a fever, muscle aches and pains, cough, a sore throat, and malaise. And then later in the illness, children often develop a facial rash, which can be followed by a body rash and or joint pain. In adults, that the most common symptoms usually include a rash on the trunk and joint pain. The disease is spread through respiratory droplets and is highly contagious in the beginning phases of the illness. But by the time that rash develops, you are generally no longer contagious. The CDC is recommending those that are at higher risk to consider wearing a respirator or mask when around others, and that pregnant people seek medical care if they've been exposed to a person with a suspected or confirmed case.
Pregnant people. See that word play? Pregnant people. Women that are pregnant.
Track that story as it develops. Andrea, one more virus. Today's AMA update. Last week, the CDC issued a warning about something else for physicians to be on the lookout for, and this one is spread by small flies and some types of mosquitoes. Tell us more about it.
Yeah, so this latest warning was just issued last Friday and references Oropush virus. Cases have been climbing in endemic areas and also in new areas outside of the Amazon basin. 2 deaths have been caused by Oropush virus. They were reported for the first time in July. There are also concerns over possible vertical or mother-to-child transmission of the virus, which is associated with fetal death and or congenital abnormalities. As you mentioned, this disease is spread by small flies and some types of mosquitoes, and it causes a sudden fever, headache, and chills. The CDC advisory does recommend that pregnant people reconsider non-essential travel to Cuba, which reported its first confirmed case in June.
Now, Andrea, how many cases are we talking about here?
According to that CDC advisory, between January 1st and August 1st, more than 8,000 cases were reported in the Americas. That includes the 2 deaths in Brazil this year. And those were in women who were otherwise healthy. Transmission of the virus during pregnancy resulted in 1 fetal death.
I'm telling you, the immune systems are trashed. And if you don't take charge of your health and boost up your immune system, you're going to have a problem. Not only that, a weakened immune system leads to faster aging.
1 miscarriage, and 4 cases of newborns with microcephaly, which is a condition characterized by an abnormally small head. These were the first reported deaths and associated adverse birth outcomes from mother to baby transmission of the virus.
So very serious. Is it already here in the US, and is there a treatment available?
So there have been no locally acquired cases, but both in the US and in Europe, we've seen travelers returning from Cuba and Brazil who've been diagnosed with the condition. Florida has reported 11 travel-related cases this year, according to their state health department. There are no vaccines to prevent the disease or medications to treat it. The CDC has said the best form of protection is prevention, so avoiding bites from midges and mosquitoes.
Well, thank you, Andrea. And before we wrap up, let's check one more time on COVID. Andrea, how are cases looking this week?
Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get this new product that I have on my store. It's ubiquinol. Ubiquinol is the active form of CoQ10. CoQ10 is important as an antioxidant. It's important for cognitive function, and it's also important for energy. So please go to my store and get the CoQ10. It also helps with fertility too. But please go to the store, get the CoQ10. You should be taking CoQ10 every day. I've been trying to get some more products plugged into the protocol to really boost your anti-aging, boost your longevity, and boost your immune system. So, I have some really great new products that I'm offering here. So please go to the store and help support your health and help support my endeavor to getting more products to you in a stack way where I tell you how to use it and how to improve your health. So please go to my store and get the ubiquinol. This is the active form for CoQ10. You should be taking this every day, right? It's very important. And again, it's synergistic with C60 and resveratrol, right? And because of the cognitive function, it's synergistic with the clarity factor. So there's lots of benefits for CoQ10. Vitamin K2, MK7, very important for bone health, joint health. And if you follow my protocol, it will also help to bring down and mitigate plaque buildup. All right. So please go to the store and take and get the vitamin K2, MK7 that I have here. It's a very high quality product. All my products are high quality. All right. And you follow my advice. I take it every day. It's synergistic with D3, ashwagandha, turmeric, C60, omega-3. All right. By doing that, you are improving your bone health. You're improving your cardiovascular system. So please go to my store. This is a great product, and follow the stacking advice that I am mentioning. Nattokinase, really important. Why? For two reasons. Nattokinase is a fibrinolytic compound. It will help to break up clots. In addition, my digestive enzyme complex is also fibrinolytic, and it will help to break up clots. The digestive enzyme complex that I have will also help with digesting and breaking up carbohydrates and proteins, because it's proteinolytic. So this is synergistic with the digestive enzyme complex. So the nattokinase is fibrinolytic. It'll break up clots. Very important. It will also, at higher doses, bring down LDL and HDL levels and control the cholesterol level. If you follow some of my advice, you won't need a statin if you start to have higher cholesterol. So take nattokinase, go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com.
Well, Todd, there was CDC data published late last week that showed the variant Ep43 1.1 is now making up nearly 40% of cases. That's a 14% increase over the last 2-week period. The data also shows that 32 states and 1 territory have reported very high levels of wastewater viral activity nationwide. Essentially, this is the largest summer we've seen in 2 years. However, the most recent COVID headlines that we're seeing haven't been about the summer surge, but about where we stand on vaccines for the fall. Some sources are reporting that the FDA.
Go to my store, get the structural nanosilver lozenges and drops, get a couple bags for your household, be prepared for the cold season. It starts in September in the United States, lasts until March or April. It also will help to alleviate the allergy season. But the whole idea is the moment you start feeling a little irritation, take the drops, take the lozenges, get the secretions, neutralize the pathogen, maintain that mucosal barrier, and you're improving the chances of not getting infected. All right. It boosts up, you need to boost up your immune system, and there's lots of ways to do it. Some of them are powders, some of them are liquids, some of them are, things that help with the gut biome or mucosal lining. But if you take my advice and use these different products that I have on my store and use them in a stacking way, you are going to get huge benefits from it. Take charge of your life. Now, if you don't want to pay attention to me, it's your own damn fault. Now, go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the olive leaf extract. This is a new product that I have on my store. You take it every day. Why? Because it helps to boost up your immune system. Have you noticed a theme on this show? Boost up your fucking immune system. So this boosts up your immune system, and it also helps with your cardiovascular health. How does it work? It brings down inflammation. By bringing down inflammation, you are chronically activating your immune system, and it brings down LDL and raises your HDL level. So it's improving your lipid profile. It's synergistic with omega-3. It's synergistic with C60. Are you starting to see a pattern here? It's really important to boost up your immune system. So go to my store and get the olive leaf extract. It's a dual purpose. This is boosting up your immune system and improving your cardiovascular health. You stack it with the other stuff that I've been telling you, and it'll be even better.
Approve updated mRNA vaccines from Moderna and Pfizer as early as this week. Those target the KP2 strain of the virus. It's unclear whether the agency would simultaneously authorize Novavax's updated vaccine, which targets the JN1 strain. As a reminder, in June, the CDC did recommend that everyone 6 months and older receive both an updated COVID vaccine and a flu shot this year.
I'm definitely ready to get both of those as soon as they're ready. So thank you for that update.
AIDS-like syndrome is a weakening of the immune system. And if you over-inoculate, you weaken the immune system. Yeah, I'll tell you, there's so many stupid people out there. There's so many, and and they're supposedly educated.
Thailand has reported a suspected first case of the new and more transmissible strain of Mpox. Authorities confirmed the patient is a European man who had recently traveled to Thailand from an African country. The 66-year-old landed in Bangkok on the 14th of August on a connecting flight from the Middle East. He was sent to the hospital with Mpox symptoms the following morning. Lab tests are underway to determine the strain. The result is expected by Friday. Officials believe it to be the clade 1, that's the more dangerous variant, as an initial test suggests the man does not have clade 2, but he has been quarantined in a hospital since testing positive. Health officials are monitoring some 40 people who came into close contact with this patient. Mpox, previously known as monkeypox, first rose to recognition during a global outbreak in 2022. This disease spreads predominantly through close physical contact. Those infected could experience fever, aches, and large boil-like skin lesions. This disease has affected nations across the globe, including those in Asia. Since the start of the year, some 600 cases of Mpox have been confirmed in the region, but they were mostly from the milder clade 2 variant. These include the most recent cases in Pakistan and the Philippines. On Monday, Pakistani authorities gave the reassurance that the Mpox virus that was detected on the 13th of August was not the more transmissible clade 1b variant. The Philippine Health Ministry also reported similar findings after detecting its first case since December in a 33-year-old male who had no recent travel history. The clade 1b variety of Mpox has, though, triggered global concern. That's due to its link to a recent surge in cases and deaths in parts of Africa. Countries in Asia have been ramping up their border screenings to curb its spread. For instance, South Korea will require travelers arriving from affected countries, including Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya, to report any Mpox symptoms. Epidemic investigation officers and doctors will also be stationed at the arrival gate.
Okay, I'm going to replay this video, but I want to replay. I've been researching the Ohio thing, so I want to replay the Ohio. All right, and they framed it in a way that I think is misleading.
Miley is getting everything delivered. Groceries, packages. We even got my new minivan delivered by driveway.com.
My understanding is that the cases that she was reading off seemed at first to be new cases. They're not. They seem to be what the total case of Mpox was going all the way back to 2022 for Ohio. So it seems to be true that the clade 1b is not in Ohio, and that the numbers they were mentioning are really clade 2b, and those numbers are from the previous outbreak in 2022-2023. Okay, but let's pay attention really carefully on how they frame it, because if you don't pay attention, it makes it seem as though there's a current clade 1b outbreak in Ohio. And that was the reason why I was concerned. So let's just pay attention to this.
Is on the rise again.
The World Health Director General declared the current Mpox outbreak a public health emergency of international concern. Doctors in Cleveland say cases locally are also starting to rise.
News 5's Bryn Caswell joins us live from outside university hospitals this morning. Bryn, what have you learned?
As of August 15th in the state of Ohio, there are currently 459 cases of Mpox. Now,
as of August 15th, using the outbreak data in 2022. That's what happened.
Those numbers with 174 of those cases. And while experts say this outbreak shouldn't cause any COVID-19 lockdowns, they are asking people to ramp up testing, and vaccinations need to continue for those communities that are most at risk. Mpox is a highly contagious viral disease that can cause flu-like.
Why is it
It often spreads through close physical contact. A new strain the past couple months, leading the World Health Organization to declare an international health emergency.
Okay, so what it is they framed it in a way where it made it seem, if you're not paying attention, that it was new cases. It's not new cases. There's no new cases. It's just cases that they've had going all the way back, and they're all clade 2Bs. All right, so now at least this is the whole idea of doing these types of recordings. So you see me working in real time, all right? I'm not worried about what's going on in Ohio at this moment in time, because they're just using old EpiCurve data and just giving it a cumulative number going all the way back to 2022, all right? So there's no new outbreak in Ohio, even though it kind of, on the surface, if you're not paying attention, it makes it seem as though there might be, all right? So there's a kind of a little bit of a desire maybe by the local news to spruce this up a little bit in terms of, is this a problem? Now let's step back. Let's just be rational, and let's be logical here, all right? And not panic, but to be prepared. We need to boost up our immune systems. You need to make sure that you have, supplies and medications and food and all that. You don't have to over prep. Don't get into a panic buying mode. No need for that. But just be aware. All right. If, and it hasn't happened yet, but if there is an outbreak in the United States or in developed nations like Europe, we have a big problem because we don't have cross reactivity with Mpox in most of the population. All right. That's a fact. That's a concern. And the other problem is that we've been painted into a corner with the crisis in 2020 where our immune systems have been trashed. And the, quote, the professionals, the WHO, the CDC, they're all recommending certain type of things for you to do that potentially may exacerbate the situation. Okay. All right, now let's go back to what Asia is doing, because there's something happening in Asia.
Thailand has reported a suspected first case of the new and more transmissible of Mpox. Authorities confirmed the patient is a European man who had recently traveled to Thailand from an African country. The 66-year-old landed in Bangkok on the 14th.
All right, so Bangkok. So, all right, so there was a Congo traveler to Sweden. I'm not sure how it ended up in Pakistan. And then now we have, I think she said Singapore. Let's replay that.
The suspected first case of the new and more transmissible strain of Mpox. Authorities confirmed the patient is a European man who had recently traveled to Thailand from an African country. The 66-year-old landed in Bangkok on the 14th of August on a connecting flight from the Middle East. He was sent to the hospital with Mpox symptoms.
And remember, this person is European with not the cross-reactivity that I'm talking about in a developed nation. Right, so he's contracting it and he's traveling all over the frickin' world. All right, this is a problem right here. Ohio is not a problem. This is a problem.
The following morning, lab tests are underway to determine the strain. The result is expected by Friday. Officials believe it to be the clade 1, that's the more dangerous variant, as an initial test suggests the man does not have clade 2, but he has been quarantined in a hospital since testing positive. Health officials are monitoring some 40 people who came into close contact with this patient. Mpox, previously known as monkeypox.
So let's just say with the potentiality that this person was infectious and that let's say the R0 value was 2.44. Okay. That means that there's going to be a few in that 40 that potentially may have it. Now, it will be great if they don't. But if 1 or 2 of them do, problem.
The recognition during a global outbreak in 2022 of this disease spreads. Active could experience fever, aches, and large boil-like.
Let me just recycle this.
Thailand has reported a suspected. The first case of the new and more transmissible strain of Mpox. Authorities confirmed the patient is a European man who had recently traveled to Thailand from an African country. The 66-year-old landed in Bangkok on the 14th of August on a connecting flight from the Middle East. He was sent to the hospital with Mpox symptoms the following morning. Lab tests are underway to determine the strain. The result is expected by Friday. Officials believe it to be the clade 1, that's the more dangerous variant, as an initial test suggests the man does not have clade 2, but he has been quarantined in a hospital since testing positive. Health officials are monitoring some 40 people who came into close contact with this patient. Mpox, previously known as monkeypox, first rose to recognition during a global outbreak in 2022. While this disease spreads predominantly through close physical contact, those infected could experience fever, aches, and large boil-like skin lesions. This disease has affected nations across the globe, including those in Asia. Since the start of the year, some 600 cases of Mpox have been confirmed in the region, but they were mostly from the milder clade 2 variant. These include the most recent cases in Pakistan and the Philippines. On Monday, Pakistani authorities gave the reassurance that the Mpox virus that was detected on the 13th of August was not the more transmissible clade 1b variant. The Philippine Health Ministry also reported similar findings after detecting its first case since December in a 33-year-old male who had no recent travel history. The clade 1b variant of Mpox has, though, triggered global concern. That's due to its link to a recent surge in cases and deaths in parts of Africa. Countries in Asia have been ramping up their border screenings to curb its spread. For instance, South Korea will require travelers arriving from affected countries, including Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya, to report any Mpox symptoms. Epidemic investigation officers and doctors will also be stationed at the arrival gate for those flying in from Ethiopia to respond and to monitor arriving passengers swiftly. Other parts of the region, including China, India, and
So you have travelers from Congo to Europe, to the Middle East, to Asia. Now, don't you think that somehow, some way, that some of those people were in contact with individuals that were on flights to the United States? Either primary, secondary, or tertiary contact? I'm telling you, it's going to get to the United States. It's not, I don't know if it's here yet, but problem.
India and Malaysia have also adopted similar measures. Experts, meanwhile, are reiterating that the Mpox situation is less threatening, that's compared to COVID-19, especially as more countries gear up testing, prevention, and treating capabilities. Singapore's health ministry, for one, has maintained that there is a low risk of the latest Mpox variant spreading to the city-state.
Wonderful. Right, what do we got here? Emergency. All right, let's first post.
Now let's talk about Mpox. It is spreading globally. Today, Thailand reported its first case. It was a European man who recently visited Africa. Now, these growing cases are causing alarm. Countries are screening travelers. Argentina has quarantined an entire ship over a suspected case. The World Health Organization that raised an alarm last week now says Mpox is not the new COVID. Africa is appealing to the world to show solidarity, not impose travel bans. But here's the unfortunate part. This wave of infections broke out in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and they still don't have the vaccines because the West is holding them. They're sitting on vaccine stockpiles. Shares of Mpox vaccines have surged by 40%, but Africa has no shots. Our next report tells you more.
The situation constitutes a public health emergency of international concern. Detection and rapid spread of a new clade of Mpox in eastern DRC, its detection in neighboring countries, and the potential for further spread within Africa and beyond is very worrying. The coordinated international international response is essential to stop these outbreaks and save lives.
That was the WHO chief on the 14th of August. It declared Mpox a public health emergency. But for doctors in the Democratic Republic of Congo, this is not new. They have been battling this disease for 2 years now.
This skin lesion disease comes from I don't know where. I can't even remember the name of the disease. We were told that it comes after eating game, but neither I nor my child have eaten game. These symptoms just appeared.
Since January, the DRC has recorded 16,000 cases of Mpox. There have been 570 deaths. Yet, the DRC doesn't have a single dose of the Mpox vaccine. So where are the vaccines? Well, they're in the West. Most Western countries stockpiled it during the 2022 outbreak. Africa says they are now sitting on it. Take Spain, for example. It still has 500,000 vials of the Mpox vaccine. The Netherlands currently has 100,000 vials. Germany has 117,000 doses, which has led to accusations of vaccine hoarding. And this is not the first time.
So 50 years on, there has been a shameful lack of investment to support researchers in African countries to really understand Mpox better. We still globally do not have a good understanding of Mpox on the outbreaks, how it spreads, how many asymptomatic cases do we have for every case that we find with symptoms. We do not have a good understanding.
Today, Thailand recorded its first Mpox case. It was a European who traveled from Africa. The 66-year-old male arrived in the country on August 14th. He's been quarantined in a hospital. It has also spread to countries like Sweden, Pakistan, and the Philippines. Meanwhile, Argentina has quarantined a cargo ship. It's over a suspected case of the virus. The patient zero was a crew member of Indian nationality. He started showing cyst-like lesions, so authorities have made the ship drop
I would
anchor
not
in the
be surprised that we're going to have a few cases popping up in the United States and within the next 14 days. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the new product that I have. I have NAD+. You should be taking this every day. It's synergistic with B complex. This will help with energy. This will also help to improve DNA repair. So, and cognitive function. So it's synergistic with clarity factor. Again, I believe in the concept of stacking and the idea of providing supplements that have dual purpose. So take NAD+ every day as part of a daily routine. It's going to help to slow down the aging process because you're going to have more energy. You're going to have a better recovery when you do workout. You're going to have better cognitive function, and you're going to be able to repair your DNA. So this helps to repair DNA. So please go to the store and get the NAD+.
river. Currently, there's only one vaccine that has regulatory approval for Mpox. It's produced by Bavarian Nordic. There are other smallpox vaccines that can be used. But since the outbreak, Bavarian Nordic's share has soared. They're up by 40%. But can the company reach the demand? Bavarian Nordic claims that it can produce 10 million doses by the end of 2025. But who will pay for it? African countries don't have the resources, which means the West will have to step up. But the question is, are they willing to do so?
We can and must tackle Mpox together, across regions and continents. So will we choose to put the systems in place to control and eliminate Mpox globally, or we will enter another cycle of panic and neglect? How we respond now and in the years to come will prove a critical test for Europe and the world.
Europe says it will send more than 215,000 Mpox vaccine doses to Africa. Japan has pledged 3 million doses. The US has pledged 50,000. But will that be enough? The DRC alone needs 3.5 million doses. Meanwhile, Africa needs over 10 million doses. So the need of the hour is a coordinated response. Unless Africa gets vaccines, we will not see the end of Mpox anytime soon, because diseases know no borders.
Across continents, one powerful news source.
It's all
About every
advertisement.
sporting moment.
Yeah, this is all advertisement. All right, that's wonderful. All right, let's. This it was 6 hours ago by France 24.
Now, you are the head of the Epidemiology and Global Health Division at the National Institute of Biomedical Research in the DRC, which is, of course, the epicenter of this outbreak. How does this outbreak, in your opinion, compare to past outbreaks of Mpox?
Thank you so much, Anna, for this opportunity to talk to people regarding Mpox. So I think the current outbreak is really important compared to the past outbreak, as we see a huge increased number of cases since 2023, and also the new dynamic of transmission that we are seeing. We knew that Mpox was a zoonotic disease, so most animal to human transmission and less human to human transmission. And now we are seeing kind of sustained human to human transmission, and even with subclade that can be transmitted through sexual activity.
And how deadly is Mpox for those who contract it compared to, say, COVID-19?
Now, I can say that the global mortality of Mpox in the DRC is about 3.6%. So, and I can say that the burden is mostly among children under 15, and also we see some comorbidities in children under 10 or under 5, for example. Yeah, that can lead to severe cases. Yeah.
And how effective is the vaccine in combating this latest strain of Mpox we've been reading so much about, the 1B, the clade 1B variant that was detected, a first case of which was detected in Sweden just 5 days ago? How effective is the vaccine in combating this strain, this latest strain of Mpox?
For the moment, we don't know exactly how effective can be the vaccine. We know that the vaccine can provide a good immunogenicity, but there is no
So once in a while, I'll view some of the comments, and one of the comments came up on a new video that I released that I was doing with TCK, and I'm going to read it to you, the comment, all right? And I'm going to prove that he's not paying attention to what I'm saying, right? So this person writes, if you got the smallpox vaccine, you have your titers checked. Mine is very high. Well, of course you need to check your titers. But when you get a vaccine, your titers are high, and you have protection for years, usually 10 years, but in some cases for the rest of your life, because it goes into memory cells, all right? But the thing is that depending on when you had it, depends on if you still have protection. So depending on if you had a smallpox vaccine, which was probably the cowpox version and not some of these newer versions that are out there, then you might have higher titers, but that may have been a recent inoculation. So when did you have, when was the recent inoculation? So let me reread this, all right? Because this guy doesn't know this person that wrote the content is wrong. If you got the smallpox vaccine, have your titers checked. Of course, you should have your titers checked, all right? But if you, all right, and then he goes, his is very high, titers. No problem for me, okay? But doesn't say when he had it, when he had the inoculation. If it was recent, of course you're going to have higher titers and you're going to be okay, because there's going to be cross reactivity to the Mpox, right? That's the whole point. That's the whole point of this cowpox version inoculation, because there's cross reactivity to Mpox. All right. The problem comes in is when did these individuals have it? And majority of the people in the United States that did not come as immigrants recently, most of the people in the United States, they were born in the United States, do not have a smallpox inoculation. Gen X didn't have that. Gen X didn't get smallpox vaccinations. They stopped they stopped before. I think they stopped in 70 or 71, something like that. All right, maybe even 69. My parents, the baby boomers, they had it, but they had it so long ago that their titer levels are super small and their memory cells may not activate. So that's the reason why you have to take your titer level. So let me reread his comment again. If you got the smallpox vaccine, when did you get it? Have your titers checked. Of course. That's par for the course, right? His is high, but he doesn't say when did he take it. And then, no problem for him. Well, you know what? You might have a problem if your titers are low, if you had it, but it depends on when you were inoculated. If you were inoculated in 2022, you don't have to have a problem. You don't have a problem, because you'll most likely be okay. There'll be cross reactivity to clade 1B, most likely. But that's not the far majority of the people in developed nations. Developed nations, most people do not have, they either did not get the inoculation, like the Gen Xers and younger, or if you were a baby boomer, you had it so long ago, then you most likely, your memory cells have died off and your titers are low. Now, there's some people that may have been in military service and they, had kind of a booster of it. All right. Their titer levels may be there or in high or memory cells in higher concentrations. So it depends on when they were inoculated when they were a kid, and if they were inoculated later, if they did military service. So the nuance here is way more than some person making a statement. And I've been very forthright on trying to show the nuance of this stuff. The bottom line is that in developed nations, the far majority of the population, that's Gen X and younger, have not received vaccinations for smallpox. That's a fact. The ones that did either were in military service or they immigrated to the developed nation, and it was part of their immigration package of immunization. So those people will have it. But the far majority of the population in developed nations don't fall in those categories. They didn't do military service. The far majority are not baby boomers, and they're not immigrants. Now, then you add in the illegal immigration that's going on in the United States. Who knows what was happening in developing nations? Were they inoculated or not? You don't know. But the point here is that even if you were inoculated when you were super young and you're a baby boomer and you didn't do military service and you didn't have a booster, chances are you didn't, your memory cells are pretty poor and your titer levels are pretty low. So that means that your susceptibility is much higher. The developed nations has a problem. Now, this person, did they do military service? Did they come to the United? I'm assuming this person is in the United States. I don't know. Is this person in a developing nation where they still do the vaccination program? There's a lot of nuance here. And by teasing out the nuance, you start to understand the problem that I'm trying to convey. The far majority of the population has never either had an inoculation for smallpox, which would have cross-reactivity to Mpox, didn't do military service, didn't immigrate from a developing nation, and if you happen to have had one when you were younger, let's say the baby boomers, the chances of it being robust and protective is low because your titer levels are low because you had it when you were a child and you're now 70 or 80 years old. Now, you think your titer levels are really high when you're in your 70s? Wake up. It's about nuance. That's the whole point here, is to pay attention to the nuance. Now, does he really think I don't know what I'm talking about? Because I'm pretty sure I know what I'm talking about, because I've been able to convey the nuance. If I didn't know what I was talking about, then I wouldn't be able to convey the nuance. What it is that you got a lot of people out there that want to pretend it's not existing, or that they're special and they'll be able to be protected. Because if you notice how he said it, my titers are high and I have no problem. Well, why is that? Is that because that's what you want to believe? Or is it that you had a recent inoculation during the 2020 crisis? Or that you immigrated recently? Or you're from a developing nation that has a vaccine program for smallpox? Which one was it?
A study done to assess the effectiveness of efficacy of the vaccine in our context. So we don't know, but we suppose that if the vaccine was designed for the Mpox in general, it should be effective against also the K1C. But as I can say, we are not sure 100%.
And what then are the main challenges when it comes to vaccine access in Africa? And also, crucially, how much enthusiasm is there among the general population for a new Mpox vaccine?
I think the challenge is first the number of doses available. I think for the whole continent, we estimate about maybe 10 million of vaccine doses, but it seems like in the pipeline, there are maybe around like 500,000 doses that could be available through donation from partners and so on. So we think that it's not enough, and we need to work more, and the country need to also be really involved to see how we can get more vaccine for the population. As we know that after the cessation of smallpox vaccination, all people born after the cessation of smallpox vaccination are susceptible to get this Mpox. So we need.
Let me replay that. All right. This is the head of epidemiology in DRC.
More, and the country need to also be really involved to see how we can get more vaccine for the population. As we know that after the cessation of smallpox vaccination, all people born after the cessation of smallpox vaccination are susceptible this Mpox. So we need.
This is a point that I'm making. This is a point I'm making. Once the younger generations, in the United States, it was the Gen X and younger. We weren't vaccinated for this. We weren't inoculated for smallpox. It was my parents' generation. But the thing is that because, you know, the United States is a nation of immigrants, there are some people that have come into the nation that have been inoculated for it. There are some people that have served in the military that may have been inoculated for it. I don't know if they continue to do that in the military or if they stopped it, you know, after the Gulf War. I don't know. But soldiers get inoculated for it. So there's a nuance here. But even if you did get it, that would mean that you would have received it when you were young, assuming they weren't weren't in the military, you know, as baby boomers doing the Vietnam era, right? And they just received it when they were young, the inoculation when they were young. So that would mean that basically is that inoculation was 60 years old, sometimes more. You really think your memory cells are going to be that robust after 60 years? No. Now, let's say in the case where they did military service, all right? Let's say they did military service and they're in their 20s. They had the inoculation, maybe they had a booster, all right, in their 20s. So, all right, so during the Vietnam era, all right, and now they're 70. Let's say they're in their 70s or 80s. So if they're 70 years old, then that would mean that that this inoculation is 50 years old. If they're in their 80s, 60 years old. See my point? The titer levels would be radically down. So it depends on the nuance. When did you get the inoculation? If you ever got the inoculation. Because to activate those memory cells, if you have very, very low concentration, it's going to take days, 7 days or more. Not a 4-day response or a 3-day response. If you have high titer levels of antibodies, which would not be the case for someone that's in their 70s or 80s, if they received an inoculation when they were a kid, or even if they were in the military, it's not going to neutralize it right away. It's going to take days. If the memory cells activate. If, that's a big if. To think that you're 100% covered immunologically when you're in your 70s or 80s on something that you've been exposed to when you were, young through an inoculation. That's not how the immune system works. It ramps up and then ramps down. People think the problem is that there's too many people that think binary. Oh, inoculation, I'm good forever. Wrong, because it's dynamic and there's a dissipation. There's a ramp up and a dissipation.
To see how we can also improve case management.
Blessed Mbala, Associate Professor at the University of Kinshasa School of Medicine. Thank you so much for speaking to us today.
I tell you, people need to pay attention. Pay attention. Now, in the developing nations, when there was some sort of vaccine program going on, that was, some sort of inoculation program that was going on, you may have some younger generations having some sort of immunology to smallpox and cross-reactivity to Mpox. Okay, that's good, right? But not enough for herd immunity, because if there was herd immunity, why the hell is there an outbreak in Congo? And we sure as hell don't have herd immunity in the United States. for the reasons I just said. I'll tell you, it's just people need to wake up. They're just like, they're not paying attention. They're not paying attention. Okay, this one was published 4 hours ago.
A week after the World Health Organization declared Mpox to be a global public health emergency, the disease has been witnessing a surge in Central Africa, where countries such as Congo have become the epicenter of the outbreak. A lack of research funding and scarcity of vaccines has left many, including and especially children, exposed and vulnerable to the infectious disease. Our next poll gets more details.
And see, and it's really, and it's important to understand how we are getting painted into a corner or pushed into a box of decisions. We have an immune system that's weakening because of the crisis that we went through. And now they're trying to force another inoculation program. And you have a population, especially in developed nations, where there's not herd immunity, and there's sporadic people within the population that may have cross-reactivity. But the far majority don't. That's why it's for the outbreak to take hold, it won't take that much much time. Right? If there's an outbreak, it won't be as bad as a respiratory infection, but you might have a local outbreak that could be very problematic. Just imagine, just go back to history and see on how the dynamics of smallpox happened throughout the centuries. Now they didn't have modern medicine. We have modern medicine, so that's a little different. But the thing is some of the epidemiology, some of the epi curves, the dynamics of the outbreak are going to be similar, because the antibody concentrations at the societal level are similar in developed nations. That's even worse in developing nations. All right. So there's the potential. There's a big potential here of an outbreak in developed nations. And we're being put into a corner. Now, I take the stance that our immune systems are trashed and you want to boost them up and you want to prevent the over-reliance of inoculations. You want to boost up your immune system because you need it to heal. And we just came from a major crisis on top of a new one that might emerge. Now, will it emerge as a major outbreak in the United States? We don't know. Could it? Yes. How? Because we don't have cross-reactivity, and we don't have herd immunity for Mpox or smallpox, because it was more of an endemic thing in countries that were somewhat controlled. And now it's emerged. Something has happened. Maybe man influenced in the laboratory, who knows, or something that was naturally emerged that made this thing spread out. You add in globalization and a weakened immune system from the prior crisis, and voila, you got a recipe for a major problem. This is why I'm concerned about it. I'm much more concerned about Mpox than I am about H5N1, the highly pathogenic, avian influenza, because that's contained in livestock primarily. There's no human-to-human transmission as of right now. There are more people that have contracted. I think there were 14, but those were all farm workers. So, I'm not so worried about H5N1 at this moment in time. There would have to be a lot of different mutations to take place where it'd be problematic for human-to-human transmission. What it is problematic for is livestock and potentially food shortages in milk, eggs, and chicken. But thinking that Mpox is not a problem, people won't be paying attention until their community starts to see an outbreak. And then everyone's going to get scared because people are superficial, and there's going to be scarring, and there's going to be problems on the horizon.
Violence in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, Justine Munguiko is soothing her cry. She's a woman who needs answers around Mpox.
This skin lesion disease comes from I don't know where. I can't even remember the name of the disease. We were told that it comes after eating game, but neither I nor my child have eaten game. These symptoms just appeared.
Munguiko's experience highlights one of the challenges as the international community looks to tackle the Mpox outbreak, getting the knowledge they need to protect themselves to those who need it most. Her son is one of approximately 27,000 cases of Mpox in Congo's current outbreak, which began in January 2023, causing an estimated 1,100 deaths, mainly among children. Last week, the World Health Organization declared Mpox a global public health emergency after the disease spread to neighboring countries.
What's important is that the numbers are low, but the ones that did contract, there was a decent percentage that died. There's also, because we're superficial, there's the scarring and the facial deformities and the skin deformities and all that because of the pox. If you don't believe me, just look in human history of what pox viruses do. Putting your head in the sand and thinking that this is not going to happen is not the right way to approach it. The right way to approach it is that it's a level of probabilities. Could this be a problem for developed nations? Yes. Is it a problem for developing nations right now? Yes. Is it a guarantee that it will be a problem for developed nations? No. It's not a guarantee that it'll be a problem. And we don't even know really the full epidemiological dynamics when it does take hold, because we have we have low cross reactivity in the population, very low. All right. So it could take hold. So let's say it does take hold, and it's just, let's say, 100,000 cases in the United States. That 100,000 is going to launch the CDC to do forced vaccines for smallpox. And and that there's cross reactivity for Mpox and smallpox. There's going to be an additional forced inoculation program. That's what this is going to end up being. May not be millions of cases like we had with SARS-CoV-2, but just have a high enough caseload where there's an outbreak in several counties in the United States, and it will force the CDC to do draconian measures and usher in another aspect of the Biopatriot Act. That's where this is going if you don't pay attention. Now, what is better? To be informed, understand the probabilities, be vigilant, and take charge of your own health, or sit there, worry, or pretend that it doesn't exist. I take the stance of being proactive, but maybe that's my personality. Maybe that's the way I was raised. I don't know. But I find too many people out there in the United States that have this kind of apathy, have this kind of like, well, it's not happening to me, so it doesn't exist. cognitive dissonance. If you pay attention to what I have to say, you can mitigate it by boosting up your immune system. Again, what is the premise here? We have a weakened immune system because of the crisis that we went through. How do we mitigate that? Boost up your immune system. I told you how.
And outside the continent. But it's communities like Munguicos that are most exposed and in need of support. The right information has to get to those immediately at risk, says Associate Fellow at Chatham House's Global Health Programme, Dr. Ebere Okereke.
Communicating with people about what they should do, what they should report, and how they should report so we can understand what's going on quicker and contain it better is critical.
But it's not only those at the Kanyarichinya camp near Goma suffering from a lack of knowledge. Helen Rees, co-chair of South Africa's Mpox Incident Management Team, says that over the past 50 years, there has been a shameful lack of investment to help African researchers understand Mpox better.
We still globally do not have a good understanding of Mpox on the outbreaks, how it spreads, how many asymptomatic cases do we have for every case that we find with symptoms. We do not have a good understanding.
Back at the camp, there are some efforts underway to inform. On Monday, residents gathered to hear a health worker from aid organisation MedAir explain how to avoid infection. We thought there was no medicine, said one attendee, clutching a leaflet. I'm glad to hear it's curable.
For all the latest news, download the Vion app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Lastly, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and get the NAC. NAC is really important to take every day. It should be part of your anti-aging protocol, your longevity protocol, and to boost up your immune system protocol. How does it work? NAC will boost up your glutathione, and that is a very strong antioxidant, all right? Reduces the stress in the cell. It also helps with brain function and mental health, all right? So people that are depressed, a lot of times if they take NAC, may improve their depression or their mood. In addition, brain function is improved. It's synergistic with clarity factor, right? So you can stack it, right? That's important. So please go to the store and get the NAC. It also helps the detox. So it's very important to take every day. All right. It's one of those things that you should stack. You should be stacking it with like resveratrol and the C60 and the clarity factor and these other things that I said. Now I know that not everyone wants to take or can afford to take everything I offer. I understand that. That's why I give you these little tidbits on how to stack it, like do substacks to get benefit out of it, to squeeze every single dollar that you put into supplements, how you get the max benefit from it. All right. So please go to my store and get the NAC. It'll bring up your glutathione. That will help bring down the cell stress, and it's a strong antioxidant, synergistic with C60. It'll help with brain function and mental mood. So please, it's really important to take charge, detoxify your body, and move your health forward. So if you need to help detoxify your body and bring down that stress level, and you need the glutathione and all that, take the NAC. It's really important to take every day. People that are in the longevity circles, they're taking NAC, they're taking NAD+, they're taking the nattokinase, they're taking the ubiquinol, which is the active form of CoQ10. They're taking the K2 and all these other supplements that I'm telling you to take. It's about the stacking. If you stack it correctly, you're going to get the max benefit. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. Boost up your immune system, slow down the aging process, increase your longevity and your vitality, neutralize pathogens, bring down inflammation, neutralize free radicals. Thank you for listening. Please share my links and ask your social media to follow me so I can build a larger audience so I can help them improve their health, because it's going to take me saying this 1,000 times before it gets into people's skulls that you can take charge of your health. Thank you for listening and have a nice day. And by the way, ones that had an inoculation when they were, kids, these are for the baby boomers, and you were a kid, most likely those inoculations, those titers have gone really low and your memory cells are almost non-existent. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.